Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. I'm Ty from the Unemployed Architects. Today, sitting down with Noah Renken-Kapatos.
Dude, you got it.
All right. Sometimes I just call you Noah Renken. So.
Dude, Kapatos. I got Kapatos.
Kapatos.
I've heard it many a time, different
But
ways.
it is Kapatos.
It is.
Sounds very like, what, Greek?
Yep. Yeah.
Very cool. So is that kind of where your family's from, or?
No. Well, yes. Yes and no. My mom is from around here.
She's the Renken part. Maybe.
She is the Renken. Yeah. There's two. There's a hyphen there. And
right.
Then the Kapatos is from my dad's side of the family. And they are, so my dad, I believe, his dad came from Greece. My papu, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Glad to learn it, Not something.
Papu and Yaya, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't really associate too much. I haven't had much contact with that side of the family, which actually the record kind of touches on some of that.
I was going to say, there's one specifically, maybe song number 5.
Yeah.
That kind of hits that pretty hard, I feel like. But
yeah.
We'll get into that a little bit. But so let's just start with basic introduction. I know you've done this before, but first time with the video, which is kind of cool. And, you're solo this time. Last time you had the band. So maybe just tell everybody who you are, your band, what you've been up to.
So I'm Noah. I go by Great Value Jesus. And Great Value Jesus is like it's kind of just a name for all the different types of music I like to
share more like this.
Ooh.
Sorry, no, like turn it so you're kind of facing that.
I see.
There we go.
So Great Value Jesus is kind of just like a musical outlet. I have so many varied influences from. I mean, as you know, when I took lessons from you. I took lessons from you when I was a wee lad.
Yep.
Gosh, that was like 9 years ago.
It's crazy to say out loud, but
yeah.
It's been cool to watch kind of the growth of everything and kind of.
Yeah, you kind of have one of the best perspectives of like seeing
from start.
Then to where I am now.
Yeah.
Great Value Jesus is just kind of a good outlet for rock, indie, lo-fi, hip-hop, electronic music.
Yeah, so stuff. I was going to get into that. So what's the album called?
Big Things Coming Soon.
Big Things Coming Soon. So I was going to say, it seems a little more multi-genred than some of the other stuff I've heard from you. I mean, I've heard some stuff where you've done like instrumental album, I think, or like a kind of more lo-fi type thing. But, I mean, the records you've released with Great Value Jesus, I feel like are more on the rock side of things.
They
mostly.
Are. Yeah, so 2 records ago, I released a lo-fi hip-hop record called 6 a.m., which was instrumental. I produced the entire thing and then played the guitar, bass, messed with the samples, and actually I did it with my iPhone.
Yeah, you can do so much with all.
Dude, it's so cool.
As you can see, we're recording on the iPhone. I got my iPad back here recording the audio. There's so much you can do just having just a little bit. But you have to have a little bit of know-how, too. But 100%. That stuff's all easy to find, really.
Yeah, and actually, lately, the past year, I've been going to ISU doing the music production. That's my degree. I get a bachelor's of science, but it's in music production. So,
awesome.
It's like, hey, bachelor's of science, and that's like, if you're just looking at that, like, oh, yeah, cool, you can get work at State Farm.
Right.
They don't actually know. It's actually
on the music
production.
Side. Right.
But those classes have really changed my idea of what a record could be in terms of like multi-genre. I want it to be alternative.
Right. Well, you definitely hit a lot of different things, I think. I think you hit definitely a little bit on the acoustic kind of singer-songwritery side. You definitely have. There wasn't as much straight rock on this album. And by the way, 19 tracks. That was a lot. And I've only listened to them all once. So I mean, I might be a little bit skewed in what I'm saying because I won't have it exactly down. But I listened to the first half last night, second half today, and I feel like. I got a semi-good grasp of it as like the fullness. But the individual details I might have a little bit of trouble getting into when we start going down that road. But like I was saying, you do have, it seems like, acoustic kind of singer-songwritery type stuff, and then you have kind of almost rap. What do you call it? Rap, hip hop, kind of
spoken word. Yeah, I'm not rapping. I refuse to say I'm rapping. And one of my music production classes, we did critiques. This is how I would elaborate it as spoken word, rhythmically speaking words.
Right.
But not...
I mean, rap stands for rhythm and poetry.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's hard to not call it that, I think.
You know, rhythmically speaking, gosh, I've always laughed at... I would laugh at myself 10 years ago. Actually, when I started taking lessons with you, if you would have thought, hey, 10 years from now, you'd be rapping.
Right.
I'd be like, no fucking way, dude. So, yeah, there is, like, that soft acoustic Elliott Smith kind of, like, Conor Oberst, Bright Eyes.
Yeah,
kinda.
I definitely was going to say Bright Eyes feel on this album, for sure. Because it was kind of, you know, with him, I do feel like he hits a lot of genres as well.
100%.
And his voice is... you know, not what you think of like classically good, but it fits the music, which I think you have something going on there as well. Like the fitting of your vocals within the music is the lines and kind of it's very original sounding too, which is cool. But anyhow, what I was getting to is that so you got the singer songwritery, the
like hip hop, you know, the rhythm, hip hop. I'd say like R&B because I really enjoy that kind of like just slower, relaxed, you know, kind of bass groove, with everything being kind of chill. And I think that's more rhythm and blues versus
rab.
Like hip. Yeah,
got that rab feel.
Yeah, there is one song on the record that is like, you know, probably like a house track. Like I wanted to, you know, like I was thinking, okay, like the song Heat. I was like, okay, I want a song that I would walk into Fat Jack's at like 11:30 at night and people are.
That I think that's the one that felt the most rap to me. There maybe like the second song too.
Chillin'.
Song. Yeah. That one had more of a kind of rap feel to it. And, you know, for me, obviously I'm going to veer towards the Elliott Smith type stuff. That's just kind of, and Bright Eyes, I definitely am a big fan of Bright Eyes. But I don't feel like not that I think that that kind of music's bad or anything. It just doesn't speak to me. So I don't really know that I, will have a lot to input or output on that, unfortunately, just because of my limited understanding of it in general. But
that's exactly how I felt. Like I think the last 2 years I started really getting into hip hop. Like Kendrick Lamar is probably by far my favorite modern artist.
One of my other singer-songwriter friends is one of the biggest Kendrick Lamar fans.
Dude,
there is.
I have 2 Kendrick shirts. One of them a knockoff. One of them's a real one.
Which is which?
You can tell. The quality, you can tell right away.
All right, cool. Well, so definitely some Kendrick influence as far as some of the songs. Then you think?
Oh, 100%. Like kind of a mix between. There is like kind of a little bit of alternative, like psychedelic, kind of like Red Hot Chili Peppers-esque vibe, Modest Mouse-esque vibes.
Modest Mouse, I could hear that a little bit, for sure.
I also really love Modest Mouse as well.
I liked them a lot in high school. I mean, I've seen them live once, and I think, honestly, I don't know if it ruined it for me necessarily, but I just think that's a hard sound to get good live. I mean, because they're doing so many weird things. And part of it was I was at Bonnaroo, and I saw them like a Sunday afternoon, so it was like, it's a bad slot, because, you know, everybody's kind of tired and over the weekend a little bit, during the day, especially on Sunday. I think, you know, it probably livens up a little bit at Sunday night, but as the sun goes down anyway. But anyhow, I do feel like the very interesting songs, very like intriguing, unique sounds. It's kind of similar in that Bright Eyes way, you know, it has its own thing going. So, and I would say the same thing about the album, your album.
Yeah, it's a lot of the record. This one, I didn't really care if you could hear it live easily or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started out with this intention, kind of like Modest Mouse. I actually saw Modest Mouse at Shaky Knees, and
I gotcha.
They actually played Sunday night. Not as good as you.
Right.
They were probably about the same as your experience.
Right. I mean, it wasn't. I think it
wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but it was.
It's
just
hard.
Like,
it's hard to judge a band on one show, but you know, everybody does it. You know, everybody because as you know, you every show is crazy and it could go any way, and there could be so many issues that you don't even like think of before that happened during. You know, like the sound being bad. That's one easy thing that makes a band sound like shit, but. You know, it's not really their fault necessarily. I mean, I think a lot of performing is figuring out, you know, how to come out on top in those situations. kind of slowly, through the years, like, oh, if everything's sounding bad, sometimes the easiest thing is to just turn stuff down, I mean, I feel like the vocals are half the reason that people are at a show. So if I can't hear myself well and it's really loud, I'll just cut down the guitar. I'll cut down all the other stuff except the vocals. Make sure I can hear those vocals. Make sure, so it's like, how do you adapt in every situation? And I feel like that's what, in the long run kind of makes an artist great. Not always, but I mean, some people don't have to struggle with that. Some people just, get their break a little earlier, and they got people kind of coaching them on the in-ears and doing their sound, and they don't have to think about any of it. But people like, I think you and I, we're having to figure that stuff out for ourselves. And that's the general, that's mostly what happens, the other one's the exception to the rule, where you just get like people helping you like right away.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. Again, when I was first taking lessons with you, I'm pretty sure my 15-year-old mindset was like, all right, just have to make it big at 18.
Yeah.
Here I am at 24, which
right.
I'm actually very content with. In the last year, dude, I have done so much work. I know you have been a very busy person. Great Value Jesus released 37 songs.
That's pretty crazy. That's a very high number. I mean, I can't even I don't even know how many. I'm about to do Friday, I got a 16-track live album released. But other than that...
your EP sounded really good, too.
The Pandemic Relief, yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I go back and I listen, and I kind of hate it, but that's how it always is. I mean, it's hard to enjoy something that you kind of have to... You're listening to it for imperfections to try to fix things. So then it becomes, you just hear the imperfections. Everything else, any good part you can't appreciate because you're only, at least for me, everybody's a little different, but I get so ISO focused on mistakes, it's hard for me to just like take a step back and try to, listen to it as like a casual listener might, not so like dialed in like, oop, there's a little sharp, So when I go back and listen to that, I kind of have that. It's cool on the vinyl. Like I think if you put it on the actual record player, it sounds pretty cool. But on the digital side, I don't think it sounds great on the Spotify for me.
Well, Spotify does compress,
right?
Regardless, I listen to it on my speakers, my mixing speakers that I have at home. On that topic of like, it's kind of hard to separate the difference between audio engineer and musician.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're having to do both, so it's like really tough.
You and I both, yeah.
I mean, I definitely hire out when I can. I go to the studio. It's so much easier for me to have somebody just be like, I'll do maybe 4 vocal takes just all the way through, or like, maybe I'll do like just a vocal take few for this part, vocal take few for this part, whatever. But, there's slight differences in them, and I can tell, sometimes I can be like, that one's definitely better. But if I have somebody that has an ear that can just be like, definitely that one. Yeah. That's what I need. I need somebody to just be like, point to it and be like, that's the one. Because it's so hard for me to...
Objectivity.
Yeah, it's so hard to have that, especially about your own music. Like, I can listen to somebody else's song and be like, ooh, that was the good one. Like, if they're singing it, like, be like, I can appreciate it from that third-party perspective. But when it comes to your own stuff, I just feel like I need somebody else to... Just tell me what's good, because ultimately I feel like, on that front, I don't necessarily know. I don't know what's good about me. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to assess your value. But
objectively, yeah, stepping back and like kind of, it is hard. Again, going to ISU, doing like music production classes, when I have unlimited access to like thousands of dollars of music equipment and an audio lab. So if you ever want to work, I could probably help you out there.
Yeah,
in that front.
That'd be cool.
But I got people in a class, like 15 people together, and we just listened to new songs every single week. We brought in new songs. And so having so many people...
they're your songs, but they're your songs.
Yeah, it was advanced audio projects. And it didn't even have to be songs. Like, it could be like sound effects narratives. Yeah. There are some people who brought in like thrillers.
So you feel like that's helped quite a bit having
other people.
just do they critique you and tell you what they like about it and like what
they critique work, yeah, and it's good to talk to other musicians because people who can provide constructive criticism, like be like, hey, point out to what you're talking about and then isolate it. Be like, okay, maybe it's this issue right here, and I would go about doing it this way myself, because getting objective, constructive criticism is hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Egos get in the way too.
Yeah, I mean it's almost impossible for me to get through something like that myself. I just cannot. Like, I mean, if I put something out and then I listen to it back after I haven't listened to it for a long time, I can maybe get a little bit of taste of that, like I can see why that was good, or like why I thought that, or why, stuff like that. But it gets really tough just listening to yourself. Like if I've done a couple just like videos, like that whole thing was pretty much just a live video take. It wasn't like the Pandemic Relief was just a live stream I did essentially. So with that, it was less intense than like going through a multi-track, like 38 tracks, 40 tracks per song, and you're so dialed in, it takes such a long time, and then then to listen back is just a tough thing, I think. But I don't know, you get used to it.
Yeah.
You may, I mean, I don't.
you've gotten used to it too. Like again, like the stuff that Pandemic Relief album, it sounds pretty good. And I'm like, again, you're doing a lot of stuff just like how I do it as well. Like do it yourself, but the equipment is so readily available, and if you have the skills to do it, you can really achieve some cool stuff.
Yeah, I was talking some other. I think I was doing an interview somewhere about that album even, and just was kind of talking about how like, it's so crazy in comparatively to like, in the scheme of time in the music industry, how there were so many gatekeepers before. There's really, if you were literally one in a million, if you kind of got through, all the doors that you need to get through to maybe be a successful musician. Now, because there are no gatekeepers, it's great because everything's accessible to you. You can record, you can figure out how to record, you can video edit, you can do all the booking, all the managerial stuff. But because of that, what does that mean? Well, that means anybody can record, anybody can play live. So because of that, the market is a lot more saturated. So it's even harder to shine through, but it's more easy to kind of just get stuff up and out. You know what I mean?
It's kind of a
trade-off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, so let's get back to your album a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that number 5, because that one definitely stuck out. What was that one called?
Guy with Daddy Issues.
Guy with Daddy Issues.
Yeah, laying it right there. Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't see the titles because I was you sent them in Google Drive, I think,
and I wanted to label them sequentially.
Right. So I listened to it in order, and I might have missed one because the file wasn't working right or something. It was an internet thing. That's why this all had to be pushed back in general, because I had to get some internet stuff figured out. But anyhow, it would. I think I heard it from start to finish, but I didn't see full titles. Mm-hmm. So I mean, some of the ones like that might have just been like,
right on,
on the nose. I maybe just had to kind of listen to the song and kind of take the lyrics and think about it, and that's what made me think. I didn't look at the title, so it's a lot more straightforward if I would have just looked at that, I guess. But
hey, either way, I think it's a funny title.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good way to use humor to address like vulnerable things.
Right. And I mean, I feel like the song itself is pretty vulnerable, and I think that's why there was something to it. There's like something that for me that was one of my favorites because and obviously with I said earlier, I'm more of the acoustic singer-songwriter guy. I like to rock too, so I mean if there's good rock songs, that's great. The more experimental kind of, even some of the instrumentals I liked. I noticed you did a lot more with like the synth and stuff like that for some of those maybe you had a piano song, I think.
I did. I had I wanted to have a lot of variety. The piano, a lot more of the, well, it kind of stands to reason. The acoustic songs are the more vulnerable songs.
Right.
And that kind of makes sense, like, metaphorically, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the transition songs, I did, I have a MIDI keyboard, and oh my goodness, I've had so much fun with it on this record.
It seems like you were having a good time with it, and you used some samples, I think, at certain parts.
I did.
You had some spoken word samples of like speeches, which that was interesting, I thought.
Yeah, I think that's track 16. This is a computer, either 15 or 16, and that was an interview from 1974.
It was talking about like technology kind of taking over, right?
Yeah, I thought it was super cool because it adds another element to the record, like how technology kind of helps isolate people, but also brings about such a change in society.
Right, and that kind of brings us back to, just the accessibility of even being able to record. That's such a technological advance that, makes us more connected, but then also kind of more separated sometimes, too. But anyway, so, sorry, I could completely derail our track 5 conversation.
Dude, you're fine.
We could go through the whole. I probably have the list here. Probably have, because it wasn't one of the things, the track list in the drive folder.
Yeah.
So if I go to that, we could just go through each song here.
Yeah.
There's a lot though, so some of them
aren't even that deep. Some of them are just funny.
I was gonna say too, that one specifically. Do you ever listen to the Incubus Science?
I have not.
Okay, because they have a DJ that they have a couple songs that are kind of more like that. Like they take like a word or phrase and they kind of mix it into kind of like a groove. And the Science album definitely had a lot of that stuff going on. So maybe you'd like that. There's a little bit of rap rock stuff there too. Definitely old school Incubus. We got a different kind of Incubus, but because I don't know how familiar you are with those guys, but they started straight heavy metal. Like
I recall, that's what I know of them.
Fungus Among Us was their first one, I think, and then their second one was Science, and that one was, you could tell he was singing more, Brandon Boyd, and then Morning View was one. Make Yourself would be the one after that, which that's more just like a indie rock album, kind of less commercial than Morning View, which is the one like Wish You Were Here and a lot of those songs. And I think they continually got more commercial, but he also, I feel like, continually got a lot better as a singer. So it's like, after they realized like, oh, you're like a really good singer, you got really good pitch, they're like, we should just do that more. But anyway, so that song definitely reminded me of that.
Radiohead, also love me some Radiohead, which is why I liked implementing the electronic music.
That's awesome. Sorry, I'm trying to pull this up here. Wouldn't be in the artwork folder.
It should be in the main, just in the main. We can talk about
You can remember the names because I can't. Because see, yeah. I can't see them. See. So yeah. That's what I was talking about earlier. That's a guy. That's all I saw when I listened to it.
It could have been a guitar.
Yeah, could have been anything. All right. So, first song had kind of a little bit of a hit you in the face right away line. You kind of decided to be a little maybe controversial almost right away.
I guess. Actually, I wrote that song way back in 2018, and I've performed it live. And my drummer at the time, his mom was sitting right up front, and like we made eye contact right as I was like going into that phrase. And boy, oh boy, her life was just
reeling. Yeah, she was just reeling.
Yeah. Such a sweet woman. Such a sweet, innocent woman.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about it. What's this one called?
Slacker Song is about being a slacker. I mean, obviously, a very exaggerated and hyperbolized view of like being a slacker, kind of like Longview,
right?
By Green Day. Having that element of like, like life doesn't matter, blah 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 blah. But with the chorus going to, but there can be redemption, But one of these, it's just been one of those days, but at the end, there can be redemption. You're a slacker, but there's room for change. And, you're not...
It's a little more hope.
Yeah, you're a slacker, but you're a good person. You know what I mean? Like, you're acknowledging that, but you're not just that.
Right. Well, I think in a lot of ways this album is, telling people you're not just anything. You're not just a rocker. You're not just a singer-songwriter guy. You're not just a person who does lo-fi. It kind of hits a full spectrum in a lot of ways. So maybe that's kind of a metaphor for like, you as a person more so. Because, when I do an album, it tends to kind of be pretty, acoustic, maybe a little bit on the rock side as well. Kind of mashed together, and for me that's kind of defines me. I think like that, those are my two those are the two things that speak to me the most. But this album is kind of saying like there's more than just that for me, which is kind of a takeaway I had from it, I think.
Yeah, and I also, with how much music, like listening to so much hip hop, and getting in, and also listening to like Bob Dylan. Like I grew up loving Bob Dylan, but I also love Kendrick Lamar. One thing that they have in common is that like their lyrics are just, they tell stories, and I think that's what I want to do with this record, is tell a story. And I think the best device was using different genres of songs to kind of link together different ideas. So like the first song is like You're a Slacker, but. And then track 2 would be Chillin', which is kind of inviting the listener as if you're a friend. You know what I mean? Like, let's get kind of close. We, learn a little bit about each other. And there's not really much sustenance to Chillin' beyond, like, it sounds nice, it slaps, as the children say.
Right, but also it's just like, sometimes you're a guy that just likes to party, likes to hang out, likes to...
Exactly, and you know what's hilarious is like...
Chill.
Yeah, exactly, chillin'. I didn't put in the title of that song. I also have a 4.0 GPA and like the list of scholars, you know what I mean?
Those get covered later.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I like about this record. It's hyperbolized, and it's not, it tells stories.
Okay, so then we're to the third song.
Song, Trippy Tiptoe Tango.
Wow, that's a fun title.
Can I put my knee up?
Yeah,
I like to.
I think that's all right. I don't know. You'll see it a little bit in this camera.
Cool. I actually had knee surgery on this knee twice.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. It's pretty hard to believe that you've had 2 knee surgeries.
Dude, I'm 24. It's crazy.
That's wild.
I had one before I took lessons with you.
Yeah, it's vaguely coming back to me a little bit, but I mean, it was a long time ago. We were done.
I was walking then. Yeah.
No, I'm saying like what, 9 years? When did we stop doing lessons? Was what you said earlier, 9 years, 8 years, something like that. 6 years, I don't know, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's been about 6 years since we've been done.
So it would have been before you even started, which would have been
correct.
Leapfrogged.
Yeah, I was already walking well then. I walked normally, I think. Anyway, Trippy Tiptoe Tango has nothing to do with my knee surgery and my ability to walk. No, Trippy Tiptoe Tango is a metaphor for like walking on eggshells.
Okay, that one's coming back to me a little bit.
Yeah.
I definitely remember a couple lines that I think said something to that effect.
Yeah, walking on eggshells all my life, right? And so this song was, now that we've established a rapport of like, yeah, I can goof around, and yeah, we can hang out as a friend. Now we're talking about a deep thing. This song is about my relationship with my stepdad, and the toxic and just abusive relationship that not only we had, but he has with my mother. And it's just, this is a way of expressing my thoughts on that. You know what I mean? Using his own words, I think. Using his own words against him, but also not. It's weird because I want to write a fine line between using my experiences to write songs, but also using other people's experiences. Yeah,
it doesn't have, Well, this one does. This whole album seems a little more personal, maybe, than that, though. Like I feel like at least that's the vibe I got from it. Was I know you're saying that maybe not 1,000% factual every part of it, because in life you're taken from other people's experiences as well, but I do feel like there is a personal touch to this, maybe more so than some of the other stuff I've listened from you, and maybe just in general. I feel like there was definitely like a harder personal element to this, but
especially with track 3. Track 3, especially the words, love me more than your only son. That
that one, I do remember that one.
Yeah, imagine being having a child who had a dad leave him introduce this new man when you're 3 years old, and then him not even like think of you as your child,
Right.
like not even, you know what I mean? So that's kind of my relationship with him, and then also kind of exposing my relationship with my biological dad, track 5.
Right, which we'll get to that. Track 4, is that more of just a...
Yeah, so there's actually, I have a music video that I'm editing on that right now. So track 4, overconfident cis man tumbles to his demise. Why did I choose that? Well, we needed a break because I just kind of overshared a lot, right? You know, kind of just trauma dumped. And this, you know, so we got to back it up a little bit. And that's why that song...
you don't want to go from super heavy right into super heavy, because that's the next one as well.
In fact, this music video is kind of Thundercat-esque, where it's just me. I fell, like I hit my knee, and I fell. So it's just me running and hitting a park bench, and then falling, and filmed at like several different angles with like different like exaggerated like right. I'm falling down, so you see a tear coming down my face, like, you know, like, but then it's happy, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of super cheesy and lo-fi on purpose. So that's taking a break, get some comedy in there, take a breath, and then track 5 being, you know, a guy with daddy issues, being able to use that like pain as like a... Sounds pretty.
Yeah. Well, I was. There's a couple things about this song. This was the first, like, after Let's Do It, this was the one that I think I connected with. You know, just the overall sound of it, I liked a lot, and then, you know, I could tell the lyrics meant a lot to you. You know, like I felt like you connected like really hard with what you were trying to say, and it was expressed pretty well ultimately. And you know, I felt like I knew what the song was about without even seeing that title. You know, so I mean, that's saying that, you know, you're saying you're expressing yourself in a way that I can understand it, even though, you know, it maybe not be straightforward like from the title. You know what I mean? So I can get what you're trying to say beyond, you know, just reading it. But then I was going to say one thing about this song, too, is there's an acoustic tone in it I really liked, I feel like. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was this one where... Because is there a couple acoustics going on?
Yeah.
It seems like, to me, and maybe I'm thinking of a different song, but it seems like to me that there was an acoustic that you mic'd. Did you mic an acoustic for that one?
Actually, so my acoustic guitar, it's an acoustic electric.
Right.
So I did the good old DI input and then put a mic on it as well.
So that's what I was kind of going to say, is you hear kind of like the natural, nice sound of the acoustic, which, you know, acoustic tone, obviously, since I kind of veer that way, I like a good acoustic tone. Right. So I feel like that miking of it sounded really, really nice, but then it was paired with a DI kind of sound.
I appreciate that.
And I think there was maybe other parts you were playing a little bit that may have been more on the DI side as well. But, you know, two completely different sounds, but because it was just a nice contrast, I think.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I did all the guitars that way, too, because I also have that similar appreciation. Right. I'm just a music nerd and love everything about it.
So, speaking of that, real quick, to take us completely off topic. You were saying you were filming a music video. What in your editing? What you using for that?
Premiere, Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
Since I go to ISU, they have like the suite that I get to use for free.
That's awesome.
For now. Some of their programs are okay, but I don't want to get in a war with Adobe right now.
I gotcha. Well, I got...
Premiere's helpful.
I just got... very diplomatic. I just got DaVinci Resolve, and I've been using that a lot, and I really like that. It's like super easy to use. And surprisingly, the free CapCut. Have you ever used CapCut? It's a free program that can do like... Well, mainly I use it for subtitles because it has a really good AI for picking up what you're saying and stuff. And then it has a bunch of different animations you can use, which are kind of cool. But it's completely free, but you can export in 4K. So if I do anything in 4K, I pretty much have to use the CapCut because, you know, exports in 4K as opposed to the DaVinci Resolve, which 1080 is what you get pretty much with the free version. You can pay which at some point I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to do, I think it's either $299 or $399. I think think it's $2.99, and then you just have it for life, all updates and everything. Again, I know it's a little nerdy kind of offset.
No, I could talk this way about DAWs, but I'm not a video editor guy.
Yeah,
so
well, I'm the opposite. You know,
Yeah?
I've become more of a video editor. Something about video editing that I find, and this will be interesting to kind of get your take on. You know, it's simpler for me. There's
Really?
not as much stuff going on. It's like a clear, like I know what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get so with like different recording programs and stuff like that, I get daunted so easily because a lot of times, you know, you have, you know, 30 different presets on something,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I can tell the difference between some of them, but I can't really, you know, it's that same thing, and needing an expert in the room to be like, that's the one.
Yeah, it's
But I don't have that problem with the video editing, and that might just be because I know so little about it. You know, maybe it's just ignorance is bliss kind of thing.
here's what I have Logic. I use Logic for all my music production. That's the same music production software Phineas uses for Billie Eilish.
Okay.
And her brother. And so we're talking it's $199 for lifetime warranty. And the best DAW in the world is the one you know how to use.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
pick one and then learn it. And there's a lot of tools that go from DAW to DAW that they share, but having the expert, they know why that EQ cut is good or why a compressor is good here versus why it wouldn't be and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I just get thrown off because it's like, you know, there's 10 different compressors you could use. I'm sure 3 of them sound pretty solid, but then once you get to those 3, it's like, well, how do you pick that?
Well, let me tell you, I'm paying a shit ton of money to go to school, and I'll tell you how you do it. You just, once you get into a certain ballpark, it's preference.
Right. Well, and it's preference, and it's like, you know, your gear. So it's like you can make, like, I feel like a better educated guess. Like, you know, I've used these 3 a lot, but this is the one I normally use because I like the way it sounds. So if I have to pick between these 3, this is the 3 that, you know, maybe I picked that I like. Well, I'm going to go with this one because I'm more comfortable using it. And but I don't know. There's just so many things, you know. I just always feel like with video editing, it's almost like a video game to me. Like you sit down and I have my keyboard all set, so it's like I can split it wherever I want, get rid of parts, and you know, it's just like a 1-track thing. So it's like the first round, I'm just taking out some, you know, trying to make a cohesive story. Just, you know, editing out some ums and, you know, maybe some kind of tangents to kind of get to the general focus. Or if I'm doing like music stuff, it's like, all right, well, you know, if I'm doing multicam, starting to get boring kind of here, okay? Or it's like, you know, with all of the social media stuff, you know, we're talking minute clips, so trying to keep people engaged for a minute, which surprisingly challenging, but like,
it is.
Yeah, just 1 minute. You can't even, and most people would say, you know, that's too long, like even at a minute. But anyhow, I digress. It's all just like an easy feel kind of video game kind of. When I get into I just, like I keep saying, I get daunted with all the things. There's, you know, there's that compressor issue we just talked about, but there's that for every track for like 18 different things.
There's so many plugins.
And it's just like, how do you narrow it down?
You got to learn one compressor, and then, so like what I did was we did like a week. Let's talk about reverb. Whereas like we went to different rooms, clapped, we talked about why sound is absorbed that way. So we spent like a week on what the fuck is reverb and why does it sound like, what is spring reverb versus tape reverb versus spring reverb. I found out it's literally a spring. You run the electric signal through a vibrating spring, and that creates the distance, the electrical distance that you hear in the signal. This is crazy.
Right. And then I've seen the plate for the plate reverb that it's actually emulating.
Oh my goodness, it's so big.
Yeah, well, I think Oxide had one for a while. Oxide Lounge in town, and Tony, you know, Tony Sanfilippo, but from back at Kidder days, good old days. But yeah, so there's actually like you didn't have to use a plug-in. You could just put that in the room or next to you, and it would actually make that plate kind of sound, which was pretty wild because, all the plugins are there to emulate something. And a lot of times you don't really see what they're, you know how it sounds, but
I
you
learned the why.
Right,
it's
right.
Cool. There's
a lot of interesting stuff there for sure.
They should have a how it's made, but for
they
for
probably
music
do.
nerds.
They probably do.
Yeah. Actually,
yeah.
Look at me paying for college.
Right. Well, that's what I was kind of saying earlier. Is you can find anything out on the internet. You just have to. I think that's also part of my maybe kind of apprehension towards recording sometimes, is because it's just like, to really do it, to know everything, you need to be an expert, and to be an expert, it takes a lot of time. And I'm trying to be an expert at playing music, not. I still don't succeed in that because there's still 15.
Oh, dude, you're doing well.
There's still 15 other things you have to be good at. So I'm still. If I was just focused on music, I feel like I'd be a better musician ultimately. But in order to be a musician, especially with the situation I'm in, and
gotta have money.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you gotta. I'm doing the video editing. I'm doing the podcast. I'm doing the booking, the promo. I'm trying to organize how to get to places, as far as I got this Nashville thing coming up where it's you're doing all the managerial stuff and social media stuff, and it's just you can't just be just be a musician anymore. It does and it doesn't. I mean,
you can't be just a musician anymore.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm horrible. I hate doing the public, the social media stuff.
I was like that for so long.
I love being a musician, and I love doing the geeky DAW work and all of that stuff, and I love talking to people and playing music on stage, but the one thing I hate, the manager aspect of music.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
The bureaucracy
I would much rather pay somebody to do that.
Me too, but then you have to have money to begin with.
Yep.
And you can't really do that. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've spent a lot of time in my career kind of waiting for something like that to happen for me, to make enough money that I could hire a manager. And that's happened maybe a couple times throughout the time I played music, but it's never went well. It's never been somebody that has really been able to, actually level me up, But so I think my resounding resolve for all of it is if you want to do something, you just got to learn how to do it and do it. You can't just sit around waiting. Maybe with the recording process, that's the one time I'll throw extra money at something to make it, because have a real expert in the room.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's I can do video editing. Why can't I do video editing? I can do a podcast. Why can't I do a podcast? Although, it would be easier if somebody else would just do everything for me. Obviously, that would be, and I could just play music.
Oh, yeah. That's why I'm a music producer. I became a music producer because I didn't have money to have somebody pay to record me and make me sound good.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so let's control every facet of this and kind of do a monopoly,
Right. Kind of be to do this in general, I think you have to have a little bit of control freak in you. You have to
have that drive, that ambition.
You want to be in control. I mean, there are certain things you can't, but everything you can, you want to try to be on top of, and it's just easier. I mean, I think you're not necessarily everybody's like that, but I think as far as indie musicians that aren't signed or anything like that, independent, the more tolerance for that kind of bureaucratic kind of stuff, the farther you're gonna go. The more the attitude you have, like shooting a music video. I waited so long to start shooting my own music videos until my buddy, the same one I've been talking, Ryan Wolf, I saw him do it on an iPhone, and I was like, why am I not doing that?
That's what I did with mine. I saw a Thundercat music video, and I was like, I literally found out he made it on an iPhone. I was like, okay. All of my prior experience was Windows XP.
Oh yeah,
Windows Movie
terrible.
Maker. Oh, Movie Maker. Oh, core memory.
Those.
Oh my goodness,
that one. Movie edit or video editing is such a weird thing, but it's doing anything multicam. There's not really a lot of good program. Ryan Wolf, he uses iMovie a lot, and I've tried using that, and I just feel like it is so limited, and I need way more like I need to be able to see like the timeline.
Yeah.
I need to have alternate kind of things going on. The audio down here, I can't like with that Windows Movie Maker was it was too much of a headache. I just couldn't do it ultimately.
Yeah. And I'm kind of I have a lot of creative friends now that I'm in the creative technologies program.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure you meet a lot of good people that can do a lot of cool
Doug's
stuff.
in the creative technologies
And did
program.
he play bass on this?
No, he did not. He did not. I played all the bass. In fact, I got Nick, my roommate and drummer. He's plays the live drums on 4 songs, and actually we recorded those at ISU using their really expensive Sennheiser.
That's cool.
Mics. Oh my goodness, it was crazy.
I always say Sennheiser.
Sennheiser. Well, whatever it was, I was holding $7,000 in my hand, and it was like this big.
The right way, I don't know, but anyway,
it's crazy.
I have a couple of Sennheisers that I use. I think my kick mic is a Sennheiser, but
that bureaucracy though, it's like, having tolerance to that bureaucracy, and then also having just creative friends who, because like I'm really good in this niche because I spend a lot of time, and you're really good at playing music because you spend a lot of time doing that, and video editing because you spend a lot of time. But it's so much easier if you work and have creative friends so that you can collaborate on stuff like that. Because
I think
it's
that
a better product.
I think that I wish I did focus more on that stuff sometimes, instead of having the attitude it's just like I gotta be able to do everything myself all the time. It would be nice, and I have a couple that I probably lean on once. I mean, Laura Lynn helps me with some stuff quite a bit, and then Brian Wolf helps me with some stuff quite a bit. But a lot of the time, I feel like I just got to be able to do it all myself, and that can be. We were talking before the podcast a little bit, like you say, how'd you put yours? How you keep your list of your priorities, and you're trying to you try to set a lot of unreachable goals or reachable?
Oh yeah,
how'd you put
I set a lot of unreachable goals. Unreasonable goals in a short time frame, but just barely reach that goal and be happy. Like this record. It comes out on January 6th because I announced it's the first Friday in January, and I wanted to have my discography start the year out strong, look real nice. 19 songs, 2023 already. Wow. That's
I went a different way with my live album. I went December 30th.
Yeah, well, it would have been either 3 records in 1 year or just start the year out strong,
Yeah. I don't know. With mine, it's more just like a complete introduction. So I don't. It's the way I'm marketing it and the way that I just like. I'm at a little bit of a loss, but we can get into that later. Anyhow, do you want to get back to the songs?
I kind of wanted to get back to A Guy with Daddy Issues. I wanted to hit home on one point, and this song is, the idea is from a child's perspective, of 5-year-old me talking about what's going on, not about slandering about a person. It's talking about the reality of the decision. Like it was you who chose to leave. You know what I mean? Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of however your relationship was with your blah, 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 you made the decision to do that. And so that song, I think a lot is just is framing the whole experience from the perspective of a 5-year-old, trying to explain what's going on in their head.
That's early life perspective.
Yeah, it's not corrupted by teenage angst, but like that more innocent view, but also like a wise, woke view, like recognizing all the multiple things in play for what happened around the decision. But yeah, that's kind of what it's about, a 5-year-old kind of describing his father leaving. Yeah.
Which you get with the title.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's
yeah.
Like, here's the preamble, here's the story kind of.
Yeah.
All right, number 6. Which one is it?
Now We Cookin'.
Now We Cookin'. That's more of a, if I recall, kind of a rap-ish type.
Yes, that is an R&B electronic. I wouldn't say it's rap. Yeah. Maybe that's because I don't want to call myself a rapper.
I have a tough time. I just have a tough time distinguishing what's what. That's the only reason I say rap when it's rap or hip hop or something.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like some of your stuff you have more of a beat and it's more maybe music production based. And maybe is that what you'd call hip hop?
Yeah. Well, and I think rap is more.
But I mean, a lot of it has that rhythm and poetry aspect. So even if it's hip hop music, sometimes it still has the rapping in it. So it's I'm just out of my element as far as being able. Right. Well, I can't let you cook here. I gotta just keep talking and getting you off on different paths and stuff. Anyway, now we cook and talk about it. Sorry.
So this is also meant to be another break after having that vulnerable conversation. The song is it tells a story of me going to a concert venue that absolutely sucks.
I did. Okay, this one's coming back to me.
I also have a music video for this one that's already completed and in the drive. I would highly recommend looking at it. It's 3 minutes and you'll laugh your ass off. I mean, it's stupid how funny. It's like stupid humor, purposely bad editing, like office cringe humor kind of.
Yeah, I gotcha. It's my cup of tea.
Yeah, I really like Nathan For You, that kind of stuff.
Oh, I gotcha.
I love that shit. So now we cooking.
It's really funny because you just keep saying these things that I've had exact conversations with Ryan Wolf. He was a big Bob Dylan guy.
Yeah.
Loves Kendrick Lamar. Does both rap and kind of acoustic singer-songwriter and rock. And big Nathan For You. He's been telling me to watch that show for a while.
You really do need to watch that show.
The first episode I tried, and it was kind of tough to get through for me. We were eating at the time, was not a good choice. And then since then...
the poop ice cream.
Yeah, so since then I've had kind of a tough time going back to it. I did give it a chance. I just picked a bad... bad
episode, bad context too, yeah. So the music video is quite literal with the name is like at one point in the music video, I'm physically cooking. That's not at all what this song's about. I went to a concert. The seats that I got were trash. It was an arena seat, so it was like 2 tiers.
Yeah.
The second tier, the lights didn't even turn off when the show started. Yeah, so like you had great lighting to look at the people who were watching the show, but you couldn't with the rafters. You couldn't even see the show. Yeah. Like you couldn't see.
Some people just don't care about that stuff, though. I mean,
not me.
Yeah, I like to go to the concert to see the band play and hear the band play, and I feel like some people just go for the party aspect, which is fine. It's just a different, but it kind of sucks if you're on the lawn or like where you're saying in this arena.
And this song touches on that because I used this strategy called confidence, where I looked and I saw seats that just were not filled. Probably bought out for a company booth and just people didn't show up. Cool. So after watching that spot, like, all right, let's go. Me and my person I was with at the time, we went down to those seats. Well, nothing in life is free, right? I got these great seats, but what did I get? What was my toll? So there is this swinger couple that like was right behind me and my friend, and she had just had a child, the wife, and she was like, "Oh, do you want to party with us?" And like was really weird and kept on stroking like mine and my friend's shoulder to like get us to go hang out with this swinger couple. And I was like, I am not feeling that. So right. We broke ahead and got even closer to the stage. And so that's what the whole music video and songs about, is just my bad experience. I got to see the show is All J.
Oh, okay, yeah, J. Okay. You say that in the song.
Yeah.
You really hyped them up, kind of.
Oh, I love Alt J. Yeah. That's another band that's like alternative, electronic,
right.
Weird, stupid hippie stuff.
Wasn't there an LCD sound system song that's like Daft Punk played at my house?
Yeah, Daft Punk's in my basement or something like that.
Yeah, it kind of had that vibe to it, maybe a little bit, because you're like, in that song, they're really hyping up Daft Punk, obviously.
Exactly.
And you're kind of doing
It was a good show. Honestly, one of the best. They had projectors that were projecting like they had a screen. Here's the stage. It was square, and they had like things that came down, like a transparent mesh that came down with like a projector, a 3D projector that was like projecting inside of the mesh. So like you'd have these crazy, like, at one point there was like flames, like they were floating. It was so cool, especially since people don't go to shows sober, so like it was even cooler.
Right, if you didn't expect it.
Yeah, exactly. At the time, the best set design I've ever seen, and still to this day, is like, holy shit, that's so cool. So anyway, that was the toll. I got, me and my friend kept on getting bugged by swinger couples, but we got better seats.
Yeah.
So
I think the better seats are worth it.
Yeah.
Probably.
And the music video is hilarious because I had to use stock images because I didn't have. I had to turn this video in for a project. Got an A on the project.
There you go.
It's great. It's hilarious. Yeah. But I had to use a stock photo of like an older married couple because I didn't have any swinger looking people friends. That I had to film the music video and turn the project in a week. Yeah. So and it kind of looks like that that you did it like it's purposely bad to be funny.
Very cool. So when's that one gonna release? Like
the music video?
Yeah.
Probably a week or two after the
I gotcha. Just
song comes
a little
out.
extra push there. Okay, so then I will.
Let's see. I Will Forever Love My Cat.
Okay.
That one is an acoustic ballad.
Yeah, I think okay. So it's probably one I like then, I would guess.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it's just a very sweet, touching, and kind of like sentimental sounding song. And I just wanted a feeling to encapsulate that. I love my cat. Knowing my relationship with my fathers, I'm a cat dad.
Right.
So, and I love my child. I want to make sure even though he's a cat, he is spoiled. Like this child, I think of him as my son. And I'm the best dad because I didn't have good dads, so I'm going to be the best dad. And yes, this is a 14-year-old cat I'm talking about.
Oh, wow. That's up there for a cat, right?
Oh, yeah, I got him. I adopted him old. I adopted him when he was 11. He's going to be 15 soon. His name's Eddie Vedder.
There you go.
Yeah, he's cool. He's fucking cool. Anyway, I love him so much, and so I named a song after him.
Nice, very cool. And then we got Just Space.
Just Space, yeah, not space, but just space. Yeah, just space.
Right.
Yeah, not space, just space. Yeah,
it's confusing.
Just space.
Just space.
Yeah, it's just space.
Okay.
That was also purposeful. That song is about wanting distance from like society, from people, and I used NASA samples. I used samples
so that's another one of those.
Apollo 11.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I do remember that one.
And I thought it was really cool mixing like a space theme with the whole like needing space, like actual outer space as like a visual metaphor for needing space from people, society, whatever the issue is.
Yeah. And then we got, what's that one?
Perpetual Motion Machine.
Okay, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, actually the tattoo on my arm here. This is not as cool as that one because this is obviously only 4 parts. There's a lot more parts going on in the actual song, but this song is also is a metaphor. It's a soft acoustic one, and metaphorically, if you treat yourself right, your body right, it can be kind of like a perpetual motion machine.
Right. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, and it means a lot. I got the tattoo on my arm here because a lot of sad people get tattoos on their arms and these spots, so that they can look down and see something very beautiful instead of like maybe painful past. And so like
it's the same spot.
Well, actually, you're never full tattoo. I remember you told me when you got that was like your symbol of like I don't want to have a corporate job.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, that was part of it. Definitely, is like it was me telling myself that I'm really gonna attack the musician.
That's why I've gotten tattoos. Is actually that interaction with you is the reason why I okayed myself with like getting tattoos, because I was like, this is something I'm committing myself.
I think at that time too, it was a little bit less accepted maybe to have tattoos and get. I think you could still get a corporate job and have
100%. Yeah,
tattoos, you can just where we have them and stuff. So,
yeah.
But to us at that time, that's kind of what it was. It was trying to at least get that idea out there, and then that song obviously means a little bit something extra to me, obviously, but just like I'm sure yours means something.
Exactly.
extra to you. But it is nice to my other one, the Bangarang one.
Yes.
I
I know that song.
Well, Boomerang is the song.
Boomerang's
so
the song,
this
yeah,
one's
on
not the song. This one is just like
That's Skrillex.
it's
Skrillex
kind
has a
of
song,
nerdy.
Bangarang.
No, it's Hook, the movie Hook.
Oh, I don't know it.
You don't know the movie Hook with Robin Williams and
I'm so bad with films. My attention span fits great with music because music is how long? How long is a song?
3 minutes, 4 minutes,
yeah,
2 minutes. Now it's like 30 seconds, 15 seconds.
I like long songs.
Right.
Those are like.
But so I don't know the whole metaphor in this. It's a Spielberg movie. It's it has Julia Roberts, Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman, I believe is who plays. So I mean, pretty stacked cast,
it
and
sounds like some big names that I should know.
I don't know the whole metaphor in the movie is just like try to keep that part of your kid, your self a kid maybe, and just to like kind of. I'm not saying it very well. What it's trying to say like just stay young, be happy. Try to don't lose that part of yourself that maybe has a little more. View of magic or like I don't know, pretending or just that youthfulness. You can lose sight of that
innocence, or belief.
I think it's all those things.
Wonder, all those little things.
Right. So when I'm playing music, I want to be able to look down at it and remind me like this is supposed to be fun. This is a game. This is like, and when in the movie Hook they yell Bangarang when they're about to, do something big. It's like. I don't know. It's like go for it, kind of.
Oh.
So, anyway, that's what it means to me. But it's kind of a silly thing. But it's
tattoos
just to be able to like sometimes if I'm having a show where it's like not going great or like I could attack it maybe harder, not maybe I'm being a little lazy or something. If I look down, catch a glimpse of that, it's like, all right, this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be fun. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
To have fun. But anyway.
I completely am on board with that idea. That's Thank you for having that conversation with me when I was 16 or so. By the way, because now at 24, I am wanting to get so many.
So I'm the blame for your tattoos. As your mom probably doesn't like me. So.
No, she doesn't care about tattoos. No, my mom's awesome. She loves my tattoos. Oh, she actually paid for this one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
My mom's not as big of a fan of mine, but
this was my this was my birthday present for my 21st birthday.
And that was a song you wrote for one of your theory classes. Is that kind of?
I broke it down for a music theory class. At the time, I wanted something very beautiful. It was a song that meant a lot to me, and I was like, I think I could. People get music tattooed on them, and so this is a chorus. So I can listen.
That's this song,
Perpetual Motion Machine. Yeah, the chorus. Do 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 boo do 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 do, and it's so cool, like hearing that and like following along on my arm. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm a geek.
Awesome.
So where are we at in the record?
That was
we're
Perpetual Machine. We're at track 10, Paradise.
So the reason I have it sequenced there, Perpetual Motion Machine, is also a reminder. We're about halfway through the record.
Yeah.
There's a reminder to keep going, right? That's also sequentially. I put these songs here.
Very intentional.
Yeah. Track, what is it?
Paradise.
10? Paradise. Yeah, so this song is about, there's 3 verses, and each verse, the listener comes to, the story that's being told is a different version of paradise. First one is kind of trying to, you've lost it and you're trying to find whatever this idea of paradise is. Verse 2 being a blinded strike, so it hits you, this paradise hits you unintentionally, and you kind of stumble into it. And verse 3 is the acceptance, kind of bringing both of those ideas of like paradise isn't what you thought it would be, but you kind of fell into it eventually. It's a nice song. It's a happy song, to a degree. That song also was influenced. Kind of the message is also to be a martyr for champions that you believe. And I think at the time I was writing the lyrics to the song, Roe versus Wade had gotten overturned, and This is, I think, the most political I've gotten on this record, which is hilarious because it comes out on January 6th. And my professor like brought that up to me, and I was like, flew right over my head. I was
I kind of thought that when you said it the first time.
Yeah, I was like, no, I just want to start out the year strong.
Politically with it, but then you said, no, not really.
No, not at all. That, funny enough, that was the last record was political.
Yeah.
So yeah, being a champion for like a martyr for causes that you believe in, and caring about people that might not be yourself, but having empathy.
It's a tough one for a lot of people, it seems like. I struggle with it sometimes too. I'm just as bad as probably anybody else. I can be very self-involved, and it's very hard sometimes, I think, to get in the mindset of trying to think of things from other people's perspectives. I think, you should at least have that thought at some point. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't even have the thought that, like, they should even try to do that. And it never gets to even the kind of the third party perspective of like kind of assessing you as a person and being like, maybe you should try to see it from somebody else's side of things.
Or maybe I'm the issue in this cause, or maybe this,
Boy, have I come to that realization on a bunch of things.
Same.
But anyway, so Paradise Dreamin' is next.
Dreamin', that one is... again, kind of reinforcing the idea of not knowing where you're going in life, but knowing that you want to do something. Like for me, my dream is to make music, right? And just be a musician and be surrounded by music. And so for me, my dream is hitting goals, learning how to write a song, learn how to play a song, then write your own song, and then make an album, and then growing. And then, but also when you grow like that, sometimes you plateau for a bit.
Oh yeah, I've definitely been there.
Yeah, and so this song is like you plateaued, and then it's very dramatic. There's like a very dramatic amount of reverb on the guitar solo and the outro of this song, and that's like the point is like keep dreaming, like kind of like you said, looking down and being like, you did this for fun, like make sure you like keep going. But yeah,
cool. And then we have Heat for number 12.
Yeah, this one's the booty shaking song.
Right.
Yep. Going to Fat Jack's. There is no rhyme or reason besides we needed kind of a break between ideas. And also this song slaps in my opinion. I was like, the bass, the subwoofing. Like I had people who love making hip hop beats, and then I
do remember that part of it for some reason sticking out to me is like the kick. The kick / bass sound sounded very cool.
I was like, I don't have like a club banger or like a house hit. Right. It was like it would be hilarious me having like a house hit, you know what I mean? I'd be like, I could not take myself seriously if somehow that was the song that people are like, dude, this is lyrical gold.
Right.
13.
So, 13 Time.
This is contrast very sharply with that hip hop that's in Heat.
Right.
And Time is I wrote this song from a third person perspective of like I had two friends that were in a very toxic relationship, and they needed to they needed to take a break. And so it's very bare, very Elliott Smith like, where it's like 2 or 3 guitars and like 2 or 3 vocals, and it's very minimalist but also providing such a big story and sound through like those minimal instruments and that kind of stuff. There is some psychedelicness in Time, which I really enjoyed. There's like a guitar solo. It's one of the few guitar solos I have on the record.
Yeah, because usually you kind of feel like lean into the guitar a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
This one, not as much. I mean, acoustically a little bit. Well, some people can do it well. I think anybody can do an average guitar solo, we'll say.
Good old pentatonic, all reliable.
Yeah, but I mean, to do one that's like mind-bending obviously takes a special kind of person. It's not, I wouldn't say anybody can do a guitar solo. I would maybe just adjust that a little bit.
Fair enough.
Because, I mean, I've been playing guitar for so long, and there's just things I can't do. And when you see people do them on the guitar, you're like, there's something special about that person.
I'm sure as a music teacher too, like you've come to that conclusion. Just seeing like again, like I don't know how many students you've seen grow as far.
There's been a few. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had one girl since she was around, I think, 6 or 7, and she is a junior in high school. So I mean, I've had her for a long time. And there's a couple other people I've more on the adult side. Just kind of one lady that's a little bit older than me. She started on ukulele, and then she didn't think like she would be able to do anything more than that. She got the ukulele going, played it really well, and eventually I was recommended. I was like, you should think about it. You don't have to do it. No pressure or anything, but I think it's very doable if you want. And now she's like can play guitar fluently, which was very cool to kind of see that path and growth and stuff. But I don't remember what brought us to that conversation.
Not everybody can do a guitar solo.
Right.
What I was gonna say is like, you yourself saying you're not that good, but you've taught a lot of people who like. I'm not saying I'm great at guitar, but I did a lot of like improvising with being in jazz band and learning all those different scales and stuff, and having to always be on your toes and just kind of thrown to the wolves,
especially because no music director plays guitar, so they don't have any idea what to tell you to do. Like they're just like, you're either good enough that you can do it and figure it out yourself, or you just shouldn't be there. That's kind of how it goes for jazz bands.
And I was in a combo at Heartland, and so it was. I mean, we had 5.
Maybe you had better.
Doug was
teachers.
Was actually in that combo. That's how me and Doug met. And my
Soliker. Oh no, you're talking. I was talking teacher. You're talking your bass player.
Yeah. Former bass player. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I didn't know that it was parted ways.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't done any live shows, and with school and work and all that.
He's had a lot of school and work and stuff.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So like, and me like always setting unrealistic goals. Like, and him. I mean, he is a really good artist.
Yeah.
So like. It makes sense that he would like to put his limited time and energy into stuff he really wants to do, and instead of like being.
He played bass on one of my songs pretty recently. He played Digital Soul, which that one will be out. I think probably. I'm gonna say next. I don't know, because it'll be 2 months for this one. I'll do one release, then 2 months for that one. So around April area. But he that's what I'll shoot for. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
But, maybe a little bit. It'd be ideal, I think, like middle of March. But I've given myself a little padding there to not be too strict on that. But he played bass. He came in. I mean, it's a song we'd played live a bunch of times, so he really knows the kind of the form of the song and everything. And it's kind of a complicated one, honestly.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, as far as bassists go, especially around here, he's really damn good.
Yeah,
so,
especially because how old is he? Do you know?
I think he's 27.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. He's pretty. I guess he's old to you, young to me, right?
I feel old to me.
I feel that. But anyway, he's a great bass player. So he didn't play any of this, not really playing with you going forward as of now.
Yeah, we just haven't done any shows, and like with this record being so much different than like a rock band.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially with the scope and size of this record. And again, setting unrealistic expectations for myself and barely achieving them. The people who are around you also have to help achieve that goal. And so, if you're constantly pushing people,
Well, one thing I always go back to on that is feeling like a dick.
Yeah.
It forces you to have to feel like a dick to try to get things done, to try to get people to care, to try to get to.
Yeah.
So even
being a band leader, you sometimes feel like a dick.
Yeah.
Because you're like, let's get back on topic, like at rehearsal or something like that.
That's why I play solo now. Ultimately, I mean,
it makes things a lot easier too.
It does. It's so much more straightforward. But not to hate on anybody I've ever played with, but it's more a reflection of me. I just don't like being that guy. I don't like being like the guy that's like, hey, you need to not drink so much, or hey, you need to, when I start you need, to do this, or you need to do that kind of things. And then, I do so much work and put so much time and effort into this. Like, I take it very seriously, and then to have somebody not not even
it's not as high up on their priorities.
Which that's
totally
one thing.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
one thing. There's been times where I've had to, where it's been deeper than that though, where it's been like you're actually giving the thing I'm doing a bad name, like with your actions.
Yes. Doug and I talked about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it gets to a point where it's hard to be that guy if you don't. I want to be nice. I want to be. I don't
want to be friends with the people you play music
and
with.
To an extent, I'm almost maybe better friends with some of them that I don't play with them as much. It's like they always say you shouldn't live with your friends. You shouldn't be roommates with your friends. Because,
I've learned that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same idea because you're spending so much time together, and everybody has their egos, and I don't know. There are definitely aspects to playing in a band I very much miss. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Likewise, but there's pros and cons. Yeah.
It's just a lot more, and again, it's just that feeling of being like, okay, well, this is something I put all my time and energy into, and then you put a little tiny bit, and then I have to also, which is fine if you only put a little tiny bit, but then I also have to feel like a dick to be like, hey, you can't drink that much and do shows, or hey, you need to, like, if we're gonna play a show, you need to practice. Like, I mean, this is pretty given. But it's not even a like I said, it's not even a reflection on them. It's a reflection of not wanting to feel like a dick. And I don't think the pros and cons thing definitely weighs on me a little bit, because playing in a band when it's good is so fun. Like,
it is.
It's one of the. I do the one-man band thing, and there's just and this all goes back to me being a control freak and me, having to do everything myself, and I'm pigeonholed myself into pretty much doing. I'm the booker, I'm the drummer, I'm the I'm the bass player, I'm the everything for the the managerial part, but also the musician part, because I am a little bit like a control freak. But there is definitely an aspect.
Who else is doing it for you?
Well, that's
also where I'm at
if nobody's gonna fight, you got to fight for yourself, kind of. Because nobody's gonna give you anything. Why would they give you something?
Gotta work hard for
now,
shit.
you will get opportunities sometimes that are nice, but it's like, how do you respond to those? I think that are, because I mean, I've had a bunch of opportunities that like should have been better, but because maybe I wasn't ready for it, or like, I don't know. We're getting way off topic.
Yeah.
I know, but being in a band is great.
Yeah, this project, Doug did not work with me, but to be fair, I think we released like 16 or 17 songs together in the last year. So like, again, I'm a workaholic. So this project, we didn't work together, but in the future, maybe
we'll see.
Yeah, he's a great musician.
I think that's to have that. Well, you're right. Yeah. I think having that, being good terms, it was more important than playing in a band together.
Yeah, I agree.
And to be able to leave it, like, the door open a little bit, like, is a nice thing, to not be like, there's some people I've played with that I just can't play with anymore, where the door will never open again, unfortunately. But so to have to be like that is much more harsh and much more like not a good feeling than, it's just like, yeah, it's whatever. If you can have that, if it works out, great, kind of idea, that's pretty nice. But anyway, so we're to 14. That's
so time about a toxic relationship, wanting people to break up, kind of watching from the outside perspective, whereas, and then that kind of jumps into another. This is one of the few ones that a soft song goes into another soft song.
Right.
Yeah. Which the world may change for free, different from a song I released about a year ago. The world is not, or the world will not change for free, or something along that. It's an electric version of this song with slightly different lyrics, but this one sounded cool.
It's kind of like an answer, or like a different perspective on the same thing.
Yes. You should be my PR guy. So. And that one is just acoustic guitars and drums. Nick is on that one, does a great job doing his fills and all that. That song is kind of about capturing that childhood. The chorus is, fight hard for the child that you once were. Kind of like, you have dreams.
Bangarang.
There we go. Damn right. And so that's kind of what that song is about as well. What do we got next? I think reflections on the back. Reflection on the. I know the song. I can sing the lyrics. Reflections.
You got so many songs
on a train.
See, even if I click on it like that,
reflections
you can't.
from a back. Reflections on the back of a train.
Reflections on the back of a train. All right. Yes. So what about that one? Tell me about it.
So this one, I never thought I'd see myself as a piano player either.
Okay, so this is the piano one. I definitely remember that because anytime you get a piano focused song, it definitely changes the vibe a lot.
Yes.
So
soft. Even more soft piano. So the reason why I didn't want to just do piano in between two bangers, right, is because that's a fucking change up. So sequentially, I wanted you to be able to listen to this and not be too drastic of a change, like without reason, or like, you know what I mean? Like you can take a left turn, but if your left turn makes sense and is it really a left turn? Or is it an artistic choice that you made?
Well, I mean, it seemed like the whole album is kind of like that. You're thinking about these very intentionally as far as the ordering of the tracks, which you don't find as much of that anymore. I did that really hard for our full length, our Design to Shine album, but it's almost like a lost art to me. I mean,
with vinyl, especially with vinyl, flipping the record. The record I did with Doug, last record we did is Propaganda Art. We sequenced it with the idea of, well, hopefully maybe it'll be on vinyl,
right?
Because I mixed and mastered it so that you could put it at the halfway mark, flip it, and when you flip songs, it's a completely different change.
Which I mean is exactly what I think where the well thought out album comes from. I mean, when you're listening to records, obviously there is you can't change to the next track you can't just hit next a bunch of times. You pretty much have to experience it like the full side by itself and then decide if you want to listen to the next side. But it's very much one piece of art, and I think it's kind of a fun thing to play with if you have the songs to back it up. I getting that many, like this 19 tracks, that's pretty up there as far as the amount of material.
Well, it's 19 songs, but it's roughly 52 minutes. A lot of songs.
I guess our 14 track Design to Shine I think was 80. So
damn.
Or no, it was 60. It was like right at an hour, I think, but it wouldn't have fit on a vinyl.
Yeah, like this one I try to have, just like the variance in genres, the lengths of the song kind of change, because one thing I wanted is, maybe a person who doesn't listen to folk music or acoustic music to take away something and be like, oh, I really enjoyed this.
One thing too that's kind of cool about those that you could think about. Now, I've tried this in the past. I haven't been very successful with it because you'd have to really focus a lot of time. But there are definitely some of these instrumentals and stuff you could maybe try to do some sync licensing stuff for, try to sell them to like a TV show, video game, kind of background music kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you've thought about, but with some of these...
I did, yes. Some of them did have the intention to have, like, what would you call those? Like ghost listeners? People who wouldn't traditionally listen to your music, but like really like this song.
Yeah.
I wanted a couple of those people to listen to this record.
Right. So that was the Reflections one.
Reflections, that
and
one.
This
is a computer, so that one is kind of the telling the story of like technological growth within 50 years of starting out with like, this is a really strange idea, like we're entering into the unknown. Then it gets scary because, like, whoa, what if AI takes over? Well, AI is going to have our jobs soon, but...
you making music. Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff on that.
Dude, it's crazy. Anyway, so then kind of coming to the conclusion that we can use technology to create a world that we want. Which, I mean, we've made recording equipment so much more portable, so much more accessible. So in a way, technology is kind of squeezing us, but they're good. They're pros and cons. I was kind of born into this world, so I'm just kind of an observer of what's going on.
I've seen it kind of, I spent most of my school life I think I didn't get a cell phone just cell phone, not a smartphone. Didn't have a cell phone until I was like a sophomore in high school, I think. And then, because I think technically my brother and I shared one, but he was my older brother, so
He got the phone.
yeah, it was his phone.
Yeah, damn right. As it should be.
Right. Yeah. It's pecking order for sure. Yeah. But anyhow, I'm sure he had many more important things to do than I would have at 8th grade. But now kids get their smartphones at 8th grade or earlier a lot of the time. Anyhow. And then
We're a byproduct of our age.
Right. So then I got a smartphone or a regular cell phone when I was a sophomore. I didn't even really get texting kind of till I was like maybe a senior in high school.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's when I finally was like, kind of diving into it, I guess, getting more comfortable with it. So, I've seen it, where I didn't have any sort of phone. I had the internet, so that
same.
There's people that, right before the just having like a computer at your home was crazy. So
yeah,
I mean we didn't for a number of years, but when I about as early as I can remember, we had just like a kind of desktop computer that at first wasn't connected to the internet, so you could use like for games. And then anyway, I don't know why I'm getting so deep in this hole, but
crazy how much shit's changed.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
summary,
to.
Yeah, shit's fucking changed.
So to see it come from that all the way.
Oh, dude, think about 100 years ago. You having this phone here, we'd be wizards. You're God, dude. Like you're telling me you have infinite wisdom at your fingertips.
Well. When you get really into it, when you get really into it, how much of it's wisdom? I don't know.
Fair enough.
Wisdom's in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. The person holding the phone.
Untitled 03, track 17, aptly titled Untitled 03. Intentionally.
Yeah, I get it.
I loved me some dad jokes. Like I said, my son is a cat. So that one is recognizing being a background character in somebody else's life. I have a song that I've been working on for a long time. That's called NPC. Yes, yeah. You exactly get it. Yeah, we're the main character in our lives, but especially as musicians, you kind of recognize that you're not the focus of everybody's anybody.
You're always the background. You're always in the background. Now, I'm not saying that you can't completely steal the show and some of those moments and stuff, but there is an element to always. If there was a movie about somebody's life, unless it's a musician, you'd be the person playing at the bar that they go to.
Yeah.
Just one time, one night, and then leaving and probably, not ever thinking about that person on stage again. So, yeah, that idea of, the non-player character.
Yeah. That's exactly what Untitled 03 is about, which is why it's like the third Untitled, and it's all lowercase, like minimal effort, right. I don't even remember your name, your background character 3.
Right. I gotcha. Very cool. 18 floating
ever so close to the end. Is an interlude. It's a very soft interlude. Where have we, where are we at on the record? Well, we've gone through a lot. We've done a lot. And so this track 18, Floating Ever So Close to the End, is a decompression song. Whereas, and so is track 19. Whereas, the last words I utter, the only words in that song is, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so we start off the record with, my name is Noah Renken-Kapatos, and I do not suck dick. It's okay if you do, though. Word to your wives. And then the last word is, the last phrase is, yeah, that's it. After you've gone through such a journey.
Yeah. So I think that's, definitely a cool idea and something like a lost art, like I was saying, as far as going through, like being so conscious of, the track listing and, going from this, when does your ear need a break? When does, when do we need to get serious? Those are kind of cool concepts. And you think of it more as like a total piece of art instead of, just one track of art. Mm-hmm. Which, I've always liked that kind of thing. I mean, I think the older I get and the more technology changes, I mean, not only do artists focus on that less, but, because of that, I think that there is something, everything's growing and changing at all times. So, some people might think it's worse that, that maybe people don't make some, full length albums with the intention of like leading you through the whole thing, the whole experience. But I mean, there's positives to both. You know, both can exist. You know, it's the same argument as like vinyl versus digital, like recording, analog versus digital, like which is better. Well, I don't think there is a
definitive answer on analog versus digital. I hate to be that douche, but digital is better. It reproduces sound exactly versus analog, whereas like analog doesn't always reproduce. Like vinyl record players, all of the bass is like physically in those grooves.
Right.
So like the compression and mastering and mixing, all that. Not to sound like a total nerd and shut down.
You can definitely sound like a total nerd. Yeah. I just don't 100% agree.
Just doesn't feel right.
I mean,
that's always their answer.
I think that everybody has their answer for what they prefer, but I mean, there is something to listening to an old beat up record. I don't know. I mean,
that's the aesthetic around it, though. Not necessarily. It's the whole situation instead of just the music.
But when you listen to regular music, like digital music, recorded digitally, there's a lot of surrounding factors as well. It's not. I'm just saying it's not just one thing. It's like the same idea as people getting annoyed at TikTok. I get annoyed at people getting annoyed, especially musicians. That like, I see what they're saying about it. You know, I understand their grievances and the Instagram reels and the shorts. You know, every social media is doing that reel type.
Yeah, you gotta have everything's
shifted,
attention grabbing.
Right, and that can be super annoying. But you know, you should look at it like an opportunity for growth. You know, it's in the same realm of I don't know. I always
just shut down me, Grandpa. I'm Grandpa in that situation. Well, like TikToks and that kind of stuff.
Right. I was like that for
opportunity to grow.
But you know, you just got to look at it like YouTube. Think about YouTube when that first came out.
Janet Jackson, yeah, that
is that your first memory of
that's
YouTube?
That's the reason YouTube became a thing, is because the Janet Jackson
I don't know much
controversy.
That's Super Bowl thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I don't.
Nipplegate.
I don't connect those two things in my mind even slightly.
Dude, but that is when YouTube ticked off.
Okay,
crazy.
But what my thing is, like, imagine being on the ground floor of YouTube and like seeing it like. Everybody watches YouTube. Literally every person. Nobody ever pays for it, but which is a funny.
I actually pay for
that
because I get it at the student discount.
Oh, there you go.
And actually YouTube Music streams at higher bit rates than Spotify.
Right, I've heard that as well. But anyhow, like being on the ground floor, like there's a couple of artists that just completely blew up because of YouTube. Plenty of people have because they jumped on it right. And that's where we're at with TikTok. I mean, I think TikTok, although very annoying, it doesn't really know what it is yet. I think that the people using it are slowly starting to figure out, like, you know, it used to just be kind of weird dances.
Yeah.
Now my whole feed is just how to grow your audience. How to, you know, it's very...
No. Yeah, it's the algorithm.
The algorithm is good, is what I'm trying to get to. It's very, and it is very engaging. It keeps you there. But it's like people doing cool guitar solos and like maybe breaking them down a little bit. People talking about like how to play certain things. And then there's a bunch of marketing things, a bunch of video editing things. That's my whole feed is that now.
That's why I actually, sorry to cut you off, but
no, go for it.
That's my feed too on Facebook, and that's why I kind of like chuckled, is because I was like, damn, because that's when every time I see that, I'm like, okay, time to get off of this shit, because like, one time I was thinking about an electric scooter, I got an ad for an electric scooter.
Right.
Like they pick up on the algorithm picks up on.
That's exactly why it's
good, but I don't like that.
It's the positive and the negative. I mean, it's as annoying as it is great. Yeah. I think, and I think if you think about the predecessors, which are Facebook and YouTube, you know, it's the same thing. I mean, there was a time where nobody really understood it, and it didn't even really understand itself. And then, you know, it grows and grows to become this thing that everybody knows about. Now, as a musician, getting in on the ground floor of that is a better place to be, even if you maybe aren't as talented as other people, or, you know, just learning how to use the app. you're leagues ahead because eventually I don't know which one it's going to be. It's going to be TikTok, it's going to be Reels, it's going to be Shorts. That's going to be the next, when
generation.
I mean, of YouTube essentially. I mean, YouTube, that was so crazy for us as in our adolescence to be able to watch just all these crazy videos at the tip of your finger.
Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat was like my introductory into like social media.
See, I saw it from Facebook. Yeah, MySpace.
Yeah.
MySpace was my first, and that was very music based too.
Yeah. It still is. They're trying to bring it back, but it's only for artists.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think they're gonna have.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna have much luck competing with. The thing about TikTok is it's good at what it does. It keeps you drawn in. It knows what you like, and it's slowly, the content. As one time where it was just weird dances with people is like, okay, well here's.
It knows you.
Yeah, well there's so many people are getting on board with it, so there's so much more content people are creating every day. So then because of that, you have a lot more different topics that people are creating content about. So then they have a really good algorithm that will dial you in to kind of keep you into whatever your interests are. So I just have a prediction that it's gonna be, again, I don't know whether it's TikTok. TikTok seems to be the one that
it's going really, it's very big right now.
Right. So getting
like such a grandpa.
And I just, it was hard for me to want to sign up for it because it's just a weird thing. It's one of those social medias that, all social media is weird. I mean, Facebook was like. I felt like that was my generation. That was like the people that kind of got what it was for. It was a social, very, very like, here's your friends group. This is how you communicate. You show some pictures. I
was 12 when I got onto Facebook, and I think that was about the same time, around 2007, 8-ish.
Yeah. Same time
beginning
as
of Farmville.
YouTube. Farmville, right. Yeah, that's important. Let's put that in the books.
Yeah.
So being kind of seeing from the very beginning, whereas like I didn't really understand what it was, I didn't really get it, and then eventually get an account, still not really knowing what it was for a long time, and then you get comfortable using it. That's the same with TikTok. That's the same with YouTube. Yeah. I've seen it happen so many times and not jumped on board early enough for all of them. I should have been more about it YouTube when a long time ago. Like now, of course, all my stuff's on YouTube, and I make videos and I try to put content out there. But man, if I would have gotten early, it would have been way better. And I would know how to use the app better. I would know how to market better in that app. I would know how to edit for that app. So that's just how I look at it. I don't know. I don't think it's good or bad. There are positives and negatives to it. Like you're saying, it can drain your life. If you just sit there scrolling and not recognize that that's a problem, because that's the whole app's goal is to keep you engaged and ISO focused on it. And I can't even imagine, like to a sense, I feel like I'm lucky because I'm older. I can kind of, I can see the emptiness in that like immediately, and like the whole goal of, but being an 8-year-old and using TikTok, that would be nuts, because it's just dopamine.
Yes.
Like I just keep you so just in a box, it's such like it almost zombifies people to an extent. So it's like there's definitely negatives to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think I would be on it if I wasn't a musician. It wouldn't have pushed me to do it, to take the plunge ultimately. But yeah, I just feel like it's a necessity at this point. Like, do you have a TikTok account? You don't want a TikTok account in your eyes. But see, that's silly.
You're so right, though.
It's silly, because think about YouTube. Think about MySpace. Even so, Dane Cook. Dane Cook was a comedian.
Yes.
He blew up on MySpace because he was so involved with MySpace. He knew how it worked. He got everybody's emails. He got he direct communication with his fans, and blew up to where he was doing arenas.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like Dane Cook. I don't think he's a bad comedian or anything. I don't think he's the best comedian, but because he figured out that little tiny thing, how to connect with his fans better. Huge success.
Well, I don't even know any of his content, but I know the name, and that speaks for itself.
Right, Bo Burnham. You know, Bo Burnham.
I love Bo Burnham.
He's probably
the internet people's of Dane Cook, like the YouTube.
He's the YouTube version
College
of
humor.
Dane Cook.
Yeah.
Because he put his goofy songs up on YouTube and got a huge audience because it was right in its like kind of birthing of YouTube. So he got in. Now he's
he was on College Humor, right? The channel.
Before he blew up on YouTube?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, he had a song like how to play piano to pick up girls. That's like a super old video, and that's Bo Burnham. He's like, all you have to do arpeggio.
Right.
All you have to do is say that
but
word. And
that wasn't on YouTube?
That was on YouTube. That was College Humor.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
okay, so
I mean, maybe it was on both. I don't know, but I'm saying the fact that he got in at the ground floor, kind of opened a lot of doors for him. Now he's immensely talented. I'm not taking away from that, but the fact that he got in early and kind of learned how to use the platform and learned his strengths and how to kind of put them forward for people to consume. I think just mixed with his immense talent, I mean, just blew him up crazy. So you got I don't know. I'm always saying, like, I always feel weird when I say it, but musicians should, jump on anything like that you can. I mean, you should be on everything. You should be so, like, just, because everybody's all about ease anyway. You want to be one click away. That's it. One click. You put any more obstacles for somebody to listen to your music, they're not going to get to that second click. I mean, that's
the truth.
But anyway, that's my little TikTok rant.
Link trees, those are actually 2 clicks.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
too many.
Yeah, too many.
And your song needs to be 15 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, but it is wild. It is wild to kind of see where it's all going. And I don't, I feel like the old guy on TikTok kind of, because it's at this point it is geared towards the younger, but it's I think eventually. I think that this is going to be like people's TV. Like, that's what they're going to watch TV on.
My mom loves TikTok.
Right, exactly. Well, so she's a little older than me, probably. So.
No, well, how old are you?
34.
Oh, yeah, she's turning, what is it, 22? Yeah, so she was born at the end of 1980, so she's 42.
Right, so just a little bit older than me.
Going to be 42. Yeah, it's weird to say that my mom's only 42. I'm 24.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah. But it's a different, that's your unique aesthetic and perspective comes from that, I think.
100% right.
But is there anything else you want to say about the album before we wrap it up here? Or?
I just appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
Here. I enjoy you.
I'm always in for a good conversation whenever I can get it. And, you've done the job twice, so that's good.
Hey, I like to talk. Ideally, get paid to talk one day.
Yeah, get paid to talk. But you should... do the listening part too. Maybe.
Oh, 100%. But see, I think I want to be a comedian too much, so I just never shut up.
Right. I have that problem. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I don't think, I wasn't even aiming
No, it's not even
you.
a dig, but that's people like us. Yeah.
Right. I feel like, a lot of people get paid to talk, but maybe they should listen a little more.
Get paid
sometime.
To listen, like a life lesson.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, but it was stupid.
But I appreciate it.
Anyhow, all right. So let's. How do people find your music? Let's talk about some of the stuff that is out already first. Yeah. I mean, is it all under
Great Value Jesus?
Okay, so you can type that in anywhere.
Anywhere. You got all of my music all at once.
And the other podcast we did with the full band it would be under the Great Value Jesus episode. And your album
at the time,
Big Things Are Coming. Is that
Big Things Coming Soon?
Big Things Coming. Your album Big Things Coming Soon is going to be out January 6th, and you'll be able to check that out probably everywhere you stream music.
Damn right.
And I think that's it.
Thanks, Tyler.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, all right. That's it.
Cool.
We did it. Now, were the cameras rolling? Was it